Stupid Twitch. You show me that I'm online, and yet my thing says offline. Hope you're working. Okay. Alright, cool. So I do see some people online now. And I have my AC on. Can you guys put in the chat if you can hear it or if it's too loud or not? That way I can figure out if I need to turn it off or not. Just let me know. And also, hello, welcome. Today I will be sketching or cleaning up some sketches that I did over the weekend. I watched The Get Down on Netflix. You guys need to watch it if you haven't heard it before, if you haven't been watching it. It's so good. Netflix is killing it on the show so far, and I love it. And The Get Down was awesome. There's like only 6 episodes, but it's like part 1 of their season. It's definitely worth checking out. And so, I did some fan art of it. So, here's some of what I have so far. Go. Some of it are just sort of like random characters, and some of it are some of the main characters. But yeah, I'll be sketching these guys up. And the colors on the show too are also really pretty, so that's what got me thinking about whether I want to do color for these or not. Just because it just seems really fitting for the subject matter. But yeah. Okay, so the AC is good. Alright, cool. Because I'm glad I can keep it on, because it's getting cooler now over here in Burbank, but at night my place will still get like really warm, and sometimes it's to the point of it being uncomfortable, which always sucks, but okay, I'm glad it's not bothering you guys. But if it is, or if there's any other issues with the audio, let me know, because I did have a couple moments where my audio was being weird, but hopefully it doesn't happen tonight. And also, I'm not playing any music because as much as I would love to listen to the Get Down soundtrack with these drawings, I kind of have a feeling that if people go back to my Twitch and want to watch the stream, that some things, areas might be muted because of copyright, so I don't mind it being quiet either. That way I can chat with you guys if you have any questions you want to ask me and whatnot. But yeah. Hope everybody's having a good day so far. Mine wasn't too bad. I got a workout in this morning, which is good. I might have told you guys before, but I'm seeing a trainer now. I've been seeing her for a little bit over a year now, and I'm so glad I am, because I have an issue where if I stick to, like, usually when I work out, I kind of get at this point where it's just sort of, I'm on a high and I work out all the time, but then because I only really know so much about exercising and lifting weights and whatnot, that I kind of end up doing the same thing over and over again. And I realize that when it comes to only having very minimal routines to working out, I tend to get really bored and slack off. So having a trainer for me really helped because it makes me realize that I need to always push myself, like whether it's through art or through anything else in my life, that if I'm not challenging myself enough, then I'm not learning enough. And so when you have a trainer that's kind of tough on you, it's tough love. And those like initial sessions that I hated, they turn into things that I love now. And then it's also a really good outlet for me if I've ever been really stressed with anything in my life. It's just good to kind of have like a little haven at the gym where I can just sort of take it all out on weights and whatnot. So it's been really good for me, and I really enjoy it. And then I feel better later in the day too, because you go from working out to working at a studio or something, and I feel much better throughout the day, as opposed to if I get a lot of sleep or if I don't work out enough. I tend to feel really sluggish and lethargic, and I don't like feeling that way when I have to work. So if any of you guys don't work out enough, I highly recommend it. It doesn't even have to be with a trainer. It could just be like going out on walks or going to run, or if you want to like do something more group activity-ish, then you could do classes. And yeah, I can't recommend that enough. Farmville guy, do I know you? I don't know what the dad comments are about. The only thing I can think of is when there's like famous people who like post things, and then you always see comments replying to it like mom or dad, like they just worship them. So I don't know what that's coming from. God, I sound old when I say that too. Homie Juan Kenobi. Good name. Who's your favorite character in the show? Gosh. I love them all as like an ensemble, but my favorites... Zeke really grew on me, especially when he kind of started becoming his character and really discovering like his talent and whatnot in the group. Shaolin's really fun, and Grandmaster Flash's little moments in the show are good too. And also the main girl, I forgot her name, but the main girl is awesome, and she's a really good singer too. So yeah, those guys are my favorites. Mylene, yes, thank you. I knew it was something with an M. Nygaard 1928 asks, do you have a preference when it comes to traditional versus digital drawing? Not in particular, no. I think maybe only in instances when I want to go for something specific. And in that case, that's usually more geared towards traditional because I have like certain illustrations in mind that I want to convey with certain like mediums, like materials, textures, and that kind of thing, and I tend to go more towards traditional with that. Digital is fine if, you know, I'm doing things like this, or if I want to just sketch something really quick, and it's also good practice for me because I draw digitally all the time for work, so it's always good for me to kind of keep practicing digital drawing. But I try to just balance out the two, and then that way I kind of feel like I'm working both sides of my head when it comes to digital traditional. But yeah. Yeah, because there's certain things like traditionally that I feel like you can only really mimic them so much in a digital form. Like I even have the Kyle Webster brushes, and they have like all different types of brushes for different types of mediums. Like he has like the gouache ones, watercolor, oil, ink, and whatnot. And it sounds really hipster of me saying this, of course, but I like the feel of working traditionally too, because when I make mistakes doing stuff traditionally, it helps me work around it or adapt to it. And like I'm always thinking on my feet when I do it, as opposed to digital where it's like it can be as if it never existed, it never happened. But yeah. It's kind of been a while actually since I've done traditional inks. I do miss it, so I need to get back on that soon. Do I specialize with characters, or do you do creatures for fun too? I need to venture more towards doing creature stuff. I feel like I have a basic understanding of drawing animals anatomy-wise, but it's not something that I'll admit I practice as much of. But, I mean, if I approach it the same way that I approach learning how to draw people, then I think I could really get the hang of it. But like as opposed to making up creatures, that's definitely like the next step up from practicing animals, because I know when people think of creature design, they kind of tend to pull from inspiration from animals in real life, so that could be something I could work towards doing, and I want to work towards doing too, so that way I don't feel like I'm always just in the same comfort zone. And I know I'm saying that as I'm just drawing people right now, but this is only just because I got inspired from watching Get Down, so yeah. But I'd love to be able to use like Twitch streaming as a opportunity to practice more of things that I'm not quite good at yet. And then that way it could feel like you guys are learning with me, so then that way you can see what kind of mistakes that I make and how I can think around it. So, and then that way if people make the same type of mistakes too, then it's like, hey, you're not alone. Hi, James. I know. Totally a hipster. And in case you guys were wondering, when I sort of do like a quick, like overall gesture drawing of what it is I'm gonna finalize, I try to keep details as minimum as I can, and then that way it doesn't feel too tight when I draw everything. Because I realize that I tend to notice a stiffness in my work if I tend to like overthink everything I want to draw out. And then so that way, like when you see everything really minimal and loose, like, you know, it's easier for me to kind of work around that and figure out what I want the final version to look like. And then that way it doesn't feel like it must be this way and that's it. Because sometimes I tend to change poses at the last minute too. So then you don't feel like that you've done a whole bunch of work only to realize you don't like it anymore. Ooh, Fred, thank you for the reference. Yeah, any like resources, as you guys know, for like approaching creature design, I'd really appreciate it. Because it's definitely good to just kind of jump into it to learn, but it's also nice to get other artists' perspectives on it also. The more you learn, the better. I remember when fabric drawing used to be a nightmare for me. Like any of my older drawings from older sketchbooks I've had, all of like the people that I drew, their clothing was just as minimum as possible. But then once you kind of draw people from life, especially when you're out and about, because obviously people are clothed and you see all kinds of materials of things that they're wearing, and it really kind of helps you broaden your understanding of, you know, drawing fabrics and, you know, how they fall naturally and whatnot. So, but yeah. Aw, man, when you do the flippy trick and you see all your mistakes. Ugh, God, I hate doing that flip trick, but man, it really helps later on. I used to just want to not do it out of, you know, blissful ignorance, but you learn all your mistakes when you see everything that is wrong as soon as you flip it. Sigh. I know that mouth is kind of derpy. I've totally forgotten what brush it is I'm using. Fuck. What are you? feel like it's one of these. Oh yeah, it is. It's one of these sketch pencils. It's too rough. Yeah. Oh. I feel like he's made one that's like it's like a ballpoint pen where it does have some grain to it, but it's a little bit of a cleaner line. Ugh. Might just go with the clean ink brush at this point. Definitely not it. Nope. Oh. Nope, definitely not that. No. Nope. Motherfucker. Would I you? Oh, that works. Alright. Yeah, in case you guys don't already follow Zapata's Twitch stream, you definitely should. He does some awesome paintings that I have yet to master. Aw, thanks, James. Yeah, we finally met in person at yeah, that was last year. Last year's New York Comic Con. And I'm really bummed that I can't go to New York Comic Con this year. It sucks, because I really enjoy it. It's like, I don't recommend tabling at super big Comic Cons unless you have the team to handle it, but of all the big ones that I've tabled at, New York Comic Con is definitely one of the more fun ones because you obviously get a lot of traffic for when you need to sell work and, you know, meet people and network and whatnot, but I love that they have the setup so that Artist Alley is separate from the main floor, because I don't know if you guys have been there before or not, but the whole Javits Center, they have like a different wing where they set up the Artist Alley, and the first time that they finally did that separation of the two was my first ever year tabling there back in like 2012, and I remember 2012 was definitely less busy than 2015 because I think because of that setup, it got a lot of attention from artists, and then they were like, yes, this is so much better. And so yeah, this year I wasn't able to go, unfortunately, because of work. But I tried to see if I could have at least been able to swing a visit, but then that didn't really happen, so yeah. There's so many people that I want to meet in different areas, so it just makes me want to travel all the more. Sometimes I cheat with the warp tool. I ought to write down some of these artists you guys are recommending for me. So far I've seen, is it Terry? Yeah. Terrell. Just gonna jot that down. And, let's see. Someone else recommended Alex Rees. I'll check that out too. Alrighty. Oh, you didn't get in either, James? Yeah, I feel like as it's gotten crazier, I think their system for selecting artists has gotten a bit more chaotic, and I'm really hoping that's not a foreshadowing towards them being really as bad as San Diego Comic-Con, because I've heard really crappy. It's hard enough to get a pass, I feel like, for San Diego without their website crashing, so I'm hoping the same doesn't happen for New York. I hope that, you know, they look at San Diego Comic-Con and be like, okay, this is what we shouldn't do for how people get access to the con. Alright, let's go back. So, moving on. Let's see. Booty. I like drawing butts. Let's do a different thing. Oh, I forgot to finish that. No. Let's see. Brian Winia? Man, all these artists have cool names. What's wrong with me just being Allison Smith, huh? I remember there was a short period of college when I think I was ready to graduate, and I was like, obviously I have to really jumpstart my artist profile online, and I was really seriously contemplating whether I could have just gone by my first name and middle name, because my middle name's Metcalf, but then I feel like, but then at that point, I think I had some of my work online get like passed around, because I remember that was around the time I started my Tumblr, and then so then like when my work was passed around at that point, I was Allison Smith, so then I was like, well, I guess I just have to stick with that because it's easier. So, but actually, like, I remembered one time I was seeing if there were any other Allison Smiths who were also artists, and the only one that I saw was just like this photographer lady, like in her 40s, so I was like, alright, that's cool. Not too much. Florian. Okay. I don't know how to say these U's. Is it U? Because I think Uber, like German for very, has the same double dots over the U. So Florian Müller. That's an interesting name. You could definitely remember a name like Florian. I never thought that that would actually be a name. Vanilla beige. Yes. It'll look great on business cards. Let's see. Yeah, if anyone's got other good alternate artist names for me to have, I'll compile them all and pull them out of a hat, and that'll be my official art name. Let's see. Normal boring. Thank you, James. Thanks for stopping by. Say bye to James. Fred says, I pity any starting artist whose name is Scott Campbell. Oh, yeah. No joke. Or if you happen to be James Jean. Maybe you guys can tell or not, but I'm drawing one of the main characters, and obviously it helps to have like their photos to reference off the side, but a good tip for working off a reference is for me to avoid it feeling like I'm just straight copying the reference photos I'm seeing. I usually kind of take note with specific facial features, and whatever facial features, traits, qualities, whatnot, kind of make the character who they are, what they look like. I tend to just make sure I put those into my drawing of them. Like caricature artists, I mean, that's like a great example of them doing that. They just kind of take it to a more extreme level. But if you're just, trying to draw them in whatever way that you draw, especially if it's stylized, you usually just try to pinpoint the things that make them stand out as who they are. And then that way, it still feels like something that you would just draw, like drawing any other person, but then it also, looks like the person too. So then you want to make sure you can still kind of get the reaction from people looking at it and be like, oh, it's that character. Like I kind of did that with the Stranger Things characters from my last stream. They're a bit more easier to kind of portray because when they're kids, they kind of tend to look more exaggerated already, unless they're really bland looking or something. But then if they are, they probably wouldn't be the main characters, so. But yeah. It's usually like kind of my tip if you're just drawing something from reference. But unless it's a study, and you're trying to like be realistic with it, then obviously you're going to try to make it as much of every single thing you see as possible. And then also it helps to not draw them in the pose that they're in the photo. When you are able to pinpoint their like characteristic features from photos, like usually gather a good like amount of them, even a few of them, and then that way you feel like you could draw them at any angle or any pose. That way you don't feel like you're limiting yourself to the pose that they're in whatever picture that you're drawing from. And the only instance I would say otherwise is if you're trying to learn anatomy when you're drawing from poses in books and whatnot, or if you're trying to learn how to draw an animal and you don't have the live animal in front of you, then you look at the picture. Because obviously people have to do that if they want to learn how to draw a lion or a giraffe. They can't always see it in front of them unless you're at the zoo. Even if you're at the zoo, like it was this summer, you see them just in the shade, and you can barely see them at all. So be like, I want to draw you. Can you please come over here and do this pose? Because obviously you can't do that. Unless they're people. But yeah. It's the only instance I would say that it's helped to just draw straight from the photo. But if you're trying to work in your own style and drawing whatever it is that you're drawing in different poses, then it's hard to just work completely off of a photo from that. Or else it has that kind of stiffness that you don't want. Like, because you can kind of tell when somebody really just straight draws from a photo, because it just kind of has the stiffness a photo has. But yeah, you don't really want that if you're going for loose. You want it to feel organic, natural. And I realize as I'm drawing Bob Ross-esque hair, I just described drawing in a Bob Ross-esque way. Completely unintentional. Let's see. I want skinny dude. Dark Sun asks, did you end up falling into the style naturally, or did you try to draw inspiration from others for your style? I think when you're trying to figure out how it is you like to draw, you tend to already kind of take inspiration from the artist that you liked, the artist that kind of got you into wanting to make art in the first place. Because I think people's art styles are just a result of everything that they've kind of taken in over time. So, like, there's never really, I feel like, an art style that just kind of is pulled out of someone's ass, or just, like, everything has just always been inspired by something else, no matter what, There's, like, Stranger Things. It pulls inspiration from, a lot of great 80s movies and whatnot, so it's kind of that idea. So it's what makes it more unique, I guess, is your interpretation of everything you've learned over time, like kind of how you meld everything together with other, I guess, academic things you've learned about art. So I remember I've shown my old art on here before, but my old art was just definitely inspired by styles that I really liked by artists. But I've noticed that when I started really learning how to draw from life and learning my fundamentals, then I kind of saw it taking effect in the way that I would sort of draw my own stuff, I guess. So, but yeah, everything is just sort of step towards, what it is, the kind of style that you want to draw. And usually if you like drawing in a certain style, it's because you've liked other artists' approach of that style, I guess, or that medium, especially in animation. Animation in general has definitely been a huge influence in my work, especially because I love how people can simplify something and yet it still conveys what it is exactly so well. Like anything that Milk Call animated is like, it's so good, and he just does it so well. He makes things feel so real in his pencils, and yet it's in a style. Like, you still feel like it's real to you. So, like, that's my favorite thing about it. Yeah, because a lot of those classic animator guys, they had, like, the live model references that they worked off of. So, that's an example of, something not coming from out of nowhere. Like, he didn't just completely pull that out of his head out of nothing. He learned that from watching models over time, how they moved and whatnot. Like, he wouldn't be able to animate that as well if he just tried to just imagine how Shere Khan moved around in the jungle or whatnot, you know? Because he was the guy that animated a lot of the Shere Khan. I think he did all the Shere Khan, actually. Yeah. But he also did the main evil lady from The Rescuers. Another one of my favorite, movies. Very, like, underrated in its style, and I just love the lines of the animation, too. It's so good. And yes, Fred, I've definitely been one of those people that had the Mike Mignola phase, because he simplified everything really well in terms of lighting and in shapes. And I actually do have a sketchbook that I did a sort of a study of one of his panels. I've done that with a few of his panels, especially from his first book, because his first book, first Hellboy book, I loved. And I've noticed that it definitely changed over time, but there were a lot of panels in the first book that I just personally like loved, and it stuck out to me, and I'd always revisit it and try to draw it as much as I could, because I had a Mignola phase. But before that, my very, very first like artist inspiration is actually Bill Watterson, because it was in 4th grade, and I was visiting my dad in South Korea because he was stationed there for a year in the army. And I remember we visited his office in South Korea, and one of his office mates, he had all the collection of the Calvin and Hobbes books, and I think my dad had to kind of do something for work, so he was like, just, entertain yourself with these, like, my workmate doesn't mind, yada yada. So then I just sat and read them, and as soon as I opened up those books and you see all those, like, Sunday comics he did, it was like, what is this and how did he do it? And I remember I asked my dad to get me I think the one that I really loved, because it had a lot of like his best stuff and then his commentary, Bill Watterson's commentary, and it was like the 10-year anniversary book, I believe. I think I have it here. Hold on. Make sure it's right. Yeah. It's his 10th anniversary book, and I just love it. It was so good. And then with that book, I also did kind of my own, like, kind of copy drawings of my favorite panels of his, and then that kind of actually helped me learn how to draw. So everyone went through a phase of copying at one point. It's just your approach of copying something is whether it's good for you or if it's just wrong, because I've seen people just straight up just take work and be like, I drew this in a few minutes, guys, hope you like it. I've seen that too many times. It's like, dude, you're an idiot. Especially when they take work from a really big artist too. I've seen that so much with that digital artist Loish. Oh my god, so many people take her work, and then her work with, like, she was one of those like first big DeviantArt artists, and a lot of people are taking her work since then. And that was like, I joined DeviantArt like 2005, 2006, and she was already kind of a big presence on DeviantArt. So since then, like, especially when you see, like, it must be so frustrating when, like, you get an email and someone's like, yeah, someone's been selling this book, like a novel, and they use your illustration on the cover of it. It's like, ugh, come on. And I know it sucks when it happens in another country too, because it's hard to, take that to court, because then you probably end up spending more money going through the lawsuit than, getting the reward for the case when you win it or whatever. So, and then if you ever hear people say, oh, it's flattering that somebody would take your work, try to, like, verbally smack them in the face about that, because that is just the least flattering thing when that happens. It really is. Like, I shouldn't have to explain why that is too. But of course, most people that usually say that are people that aren't good at art, or they've never really done art before. So, yeah. Let's take us to final. Yeah, Dominic's work is awesome. Dan pledged to Dominic's recent Kickstarter, and one of his rewards that he got was for like just a small bust of one of Dominic's characters, and it's so cool to look at in person. But yeah, his sculpture work is awesome. And he's really nice too. Yeah, I remember I watched Dominic talk at a little conference. He did a little lecture about not his exact approach to doing creature design itself, but just more of the process of the 3D printing for his work, and it looks so cool. But yeah, this stuff was awesome. I kind of feel like oh, thank you, Dark Scion, for the Kirk Papstein name, too. Check that out. Yeah, but Zan, I don't really play Overwatch, so I don't know what that is either. Yeah, because normally, like, my general knowledge of Overwatch is from whenever I watch Danny play, but he hasn't played that recently, so sorry. I'm still up in the air about getting a game console for myself though, because I don't even own a TV, so, and I feel like that I don't really have the space for it, and then I feel like it would kind of right now make me feel unproductive. But I know plenty of people that can play games and still be productive. But me personally, I think that'd be kind of too much for me right now. And I'm just so used to using my computer for my quote-unquote TV. Everything I watch is online anyways. Is that what a gremlin is? I don't understand that. I thought you were literally talking about a fantasy gremlin. I don't really do a lot of gaming, so I don't know all the cool lingo of said gaming. Probably the only one gonna tell you this, but get a Wii U. Good game library is cheap, and you can play most games with just the iPad. I've heard good things about the Wii U, especially if you have like friends over and you play games together. Because I played on it before and it was fun, so definitely something I'd consider. I don't think it's bad to have like multiple game consoles just for variety. You don't feel like you're limiting yourself too much, but the times that I did play video games over the years, I've definitely been more drawn to the PlayStation. Just because that was the first game console that my family bought for, like, me, my brother, and sister. What was the first game I played? I don't know what the first one technically was, but I remember the first kind of bunch of games that we had was... And you could tell it's just a whole slew of things because my dad was like, I don't know what they're going to like, so I'm just going to get like a variety of things. So I know one of them was Gran Turismo. Another one was Tekken Tag Tournament, which I was good. That was like one of my favorite ones that I first learned. Oh fuck, what else did we have? I'm totally blanking out. I know we had a bunch of different ones. I remember 007. Obviously it wasn't GoldenEye, because I don't think they made it for PlayStation 2. It was the 007 that... It was the one that, like, Pierce Brosnan was in. And there were different ones, I know. Because I remember watching the gameplays of them not long ago. Can't remember. Yeah, but it was one of those. Splinter Cell, which I loved. That game was so good. Really love Splinter Cell. I'm good at like the sneaky type of games. Like Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater was one of my favorite ones to play. That's why I was kind of hoping that Metal Gear Solid 5 would have been a bit better, because I don't really like that type of super open world format. I kind of like things a bit more streamlined, and I also just love the variety of characters in Snake Eater. It was really good. I did play Ratchet and Clank, I remember. Ratchet and Clank was really fun. It was weird, because I remember, I saw a movie Danny not long ago, and I remember seeing a trailer for a Ratchet and Clank movie coming out. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know that was happening. And I remember, I think it feels like it's coming out soon, but I just haven't seen any marketing for that, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. The same thing happened with the frickin' BFG movie. I had no idea they were even making it, and then next thing I know, I saw a billboard for it's like coming out next month, and I was like, that's not how you market things, especially for a very obscure like Roald Dahl book. Like I remember reading that book in what grade was it? 6th grade. I love the book. Don't get me wrong, but it was just a long time that they took for it to make that movie, I guess. Maybe because it's like, oh, now that we have the technology, we could pull it off, which is fine, but then it's like, if you're going to do that, you got to market it right. Market it for the kids that don't even know what that book is, who don't even know who Roald Dahl is, so... The same thing happened with the freaking Pete's Dragon movie, another even more obscure Disney film that... people older than me would know what it is, but I didn't even grow up with the movie. I know what it was, but I just don't really know anything about it. But then they just go and decide to make that movie. It's so weird because the directors of those two movies were freaking Steven Spielberg and Ron Howard. It's like, come on, guys. Like, I love those directors, but I don't know. It just feels like they're kind of, I guess... not losing their mojo, but it's... You would think that they, of all people, would kind of know how to, market movies better. Because it's like, I want to like every movie that you guys make, but then if you don't really do it right or don't have good timing on it, then it's just... it doesn't work. Like, it's like, I'm sorry. I would say that about any, creator, Not just them. But what can you do? It just sucks because you think about how much it costs to make that movie, and then And yet you hear about situations when, you know, a bunch of artists on a movie get laid off because a movie didn't make enough money, like what happened with DreamWorks. That's what makes me a bit more frustrated by it. Like, that's why I tend to kind of, you know, get more frustrated than other people would about those type of situations, because the first ones that usually suffer are the artists. So, and I hate it feeling like they think, oh, it's because the artists didn't do their job that we gotta lay these guys off. It's like, nope, not even close. Major multi-muscly. He's a little skinny guy. Yeah, Fred, it was freaking Ron Howard, and you wouldn't know because you hardly saw anything about Pete's Dragon. Because then also Bryce Dallas Howard, his daughter, stars in the movie too. But yeah, I only found this out because every now and then I would maybe see like a little Instagram advertisement of Pete's Dragon, and the thing looks like a furry dog, and it was just you don't have to talk about it. But I still have not seen Suicide Squad. It's just, I'm better off saving my money. I read enough about it to kind of just make my own decision that I don't have to go and pay to see it. So, yeah. Yeah. But speaking of movies, not bad ones, but good ones, I cannot recommend Kubo enough. If you want to support movies that you want to see more of, Kubo is awesome. It's so good. And I posted about it earlier on my Facebook, but it just shocked me that when that came out, that was Leica Studios' weakest opening weekend with their movies. And for me personally, I feel like Kubo was their strongest story-wise. Because the last one I saw theirs was Box Trolls, and I wasn't really crazy about it, like, with the story. I love the visuals. I mean, they're top visuals by far, but I think what doesn't grab people enough is that I think they see their trailers and be like, well, I don't understand what it's about, because it's not a remake of something I already understand, so I'm not going to see it, or I'm just going to wait till it's out on DVD or whatever. Like, it just sucks. They're just so good at stop motion animation, and it's like, I want them to keep making movies and do really well, so I'm just trying to tell everybody to just go see it in theaters, because it also looks really good in theaters too. It would look a whole lot better than you just watching it on your computer screen. It's so good. Go see a matinee so that you could see it for good and cheap, but it's still better than just going to watch it online or whatever. It was their best kind of character animation too, and the designs are so good. I could go on about it, but I just love it. And I saw a clip of one of their pencil animation tests, and after having seen the movie, it's just so spot on to how traditional animation looks, but even better because how they make those models are just really good too. And then you've seen it in the trailers, but they have like the skeleton that they fight. They built that thing. It was like they built that actual model. It's so cool. Like, they're just so good. But yeah, what Fred said, it's people thinking it's a kids movie. It's so frustrating because it tackles a lot of things that adults could relate to, and that's a really good animated movie right there. I mean, of course, there's really good animated movies that cater to kids only, but it's really good when you can grow up, watch that movie, and still really feel connected to it, but in a different way because you're older than you were when you were a kid. Like, Iron Giant is a really great example of that because you really realize those themes when you're older in the movie versus when you watched it when you were a kid and you just loved it for what it was. But yeah, and also like there's things that just go over your head as a kid and then you can learn about it later in the movie. Like that's my favorite thing, when you can go back to it, enjoy it, but it's like in a different way. Because the same thing happened with me in Star Wars too. Like you think like, oh, it's just sci-fi, so it's just something like, you know, younger geeky people understand or something. But then everything always has a certain kind of theme to it that relates to real life, because that's how creators sort of draw inspiration, is that they draw it from their real life. So yeah, it gets annoying when people kind of get dismissive about it, because I think when they get dismissive about it is because they don't understand and they refuse to want to understand something, which is like very close-minded of them. So, and you know, when I see people like that, I just don't bother trying to explain it to them, because you end up kind of wasting your energy on that. You're better off talking about it with people that also enjoy it or didn't enjoy it but are willing to, you know, talk about it and understand your side of it. What shoes is this guy wearing? Just gonna check some. Oops. Yeah, big fishy. I think it was like 19 or 20 feet tall. It's so impressive. And it looked great, too. Yeah, I mean, like, when it comes to remakes, though, I mean, remakes can still be done well. It just has to be the right people to handle remakes. To be like, okay, how can we make this stand out as something that we've made, so it doesn't just feel like a straight copy. And then also just having the right writers on it too. Like, if you want to talk shit, let's talk about the RoboCop remake with like the massive thighs that the guy in the suit had. And then their whole thing was them trying to make it into a badass serious thing, when really RoboCop is so campy and intentionally satire about, you know, what society becomes in the future and whatnot. Like, that was why it appealed to people, the old RoboCop. But then I don't know, like the wrong typical Hollywood exec guys is like, with our technology now, we can totally make it badass. This guy's gonna have like muscles like, and we're gonna have like hot people in it. Of course, a super hot guy's gonna play him too, so then you really are attracted to him and all the badass things he does. And it's just, I think badass is probably passed around in that exec room like hundreds of times. So, and then it comes out and it's just a steamy pile of crap. So, and then they lose money and then they get angry, so they think, you think they would learn, you know, and not make more movies like that. And yeah, it happens. But the stream will not be a rant of that, because it would be a very long rant. Let's see. Anyone going to THU this year? I wish. It always looks so fun. Yeah, I mean, like, that's one of those things, like, part of me wanting to travel a lot, especially recently. I've been wanting to really travel, but it's just a matter of it working with my schedule, since I work full-time at studios. It'd be nice to kind of have that freelancer life when you can sort of make your schedule whatever you want it to be, but yeah. I really wanted to, I almost went to, what was it? The one in, Croatia. Which one is that? Help me out, guys. I'm totally blanking out. Which one is the one in, Croatia? Anyway, whatever that one was, that one I was supposed to go to, but then I had started my job over at Warner Brothers, so unfortunately that didn't happen. But that's one I do want to try to go to next year, because Croatia is freaking beautiful. And then I've also been wanting to go to art events that I could really meet artists from that I've always kind of followed online or maybe spoken to online. But oh my god, what is that one in Croatia? It's bothering me now. I'm just gonna look it up. IFCC, duh. I knew that. IFCC. That one I almost went to this year, but it didn't work out. Okay. Trying to remember what chucks look like. Oh, yeah. Kind of. I might be wrong. Whatever. Let's use a different brush. Just spice things up. I cannot work with lighter pencils or brushes unless it's me purposely shading something or whatever, but it can be kind of difficult for me. But this one isn't bad. That's not too bad. Well, that's actually really close to what I was already using. Oh, he did have a ballpoint pen. But it looks like what I already used. If you guys have any other questions for me, let me know. Sorry I don't have any kind of music to back up my drawings and whatnot, but I was saying earlier that because I was drawing, I usually kind of draw to music that sort of relates to what I'm in the mood for. So in this case, I had art for the Get Down, the Netflix show, but obviously because there's all kinds of copyright music on there, I just didn't want to risk using it and then people going back to my streams and half of it's muted. So it's just so much easier when there's like an actual musical score to work to. Oh, that's weird. Badass brush inker. That's kind of cool. No, maybe. No, it's actually really good. Kind of. Ooh, looks real. Let's see. There you go. Use a use a cleaner ink type of brush. Kind of like working with traditional. And you even realize that when I kind of play around with a different brush, and it doesn't always react how I think it would when using it. Kind of makes you approach it differently. So that was why I was trying to use brushes already close to what I already liked using. Like I said earlier, it's good to be out of your comfort zone. You learn way more. Is Robot's voice happening again? Gosh darn it. Sorry about that. Hold on. Sorry guys. Bear with me. I'm trying to get this amended here. Damn it! Robo's. Hello? My mic monitor is saying that they can hear me. Okay, sounds good? Yay. Hooray. Allison, did you watch the new Voltron TV series on Netflix? Yes, I did. I really enjoyed it. The animation is so nice in that, too. I remember seeing rough animations posted, like, in GIFs, like, on Twitter. They looked really good. So I'm looking forward to their next season for sure. Because I wasn't sure if I would like it or not, but then I think it came out and I was already hearing people say really good things about it, so then when I finally checked it out, it was a lot of fun. It kind of made me reminiscent of the Avatar Airbender series in terms of style and humor. Oh, so it is the same team as Avatar. Knew it. Yeah, I had that feeling. It definitely looked closer to Legend of Korra style, because Legend of Korra was definitely more refined than Avatar. Like, not that Avatar was, less good, but Legend of Korra definitely looked similar to the Voltron style, so it makes sense that it was the same people. It's really good. I really enjoyed it. Now I kind of feel like I want to draw something random, because I like these. I'm kind of ready to switch it up a bit, maybe? Maybe even take requests for what people would want to see from me. So I'll keep drawing a bit of these more, but if you guys want to go ahead in the comments, tell me something that you'd like to see from me, let me know. I'll go ahead and do that and stay on here for a little longer. That's actually a good idea, Fred. Practice drawing animals, creatures? That sounds good. Alright. Let me just get this one drawn up really quick, and then I'll hop on that. I don't really like this one. Alright, let's just go to it. Let's see. Okay, I sound like an idiot. Don't judge me, but I just Google animals just to see what I could pick out to draw, and not even the fourth row of my image search. If you just Google animals, you see Orion stabbing an elephant with its horn. It's obviously Photoshop, but then both of them have open gashes in their bodies. I feel bad for the child that just Googles animals and looks at the images and sees that. Google. What's wrong with you? Let's see. Anyways. Let's draw a lion. Lions are cool. Guys like lions, right? Yeah, they're cute. This is going to be a raw sketch. When I'm like drawing from references that I'm obviously using, I'm trying to not look at the drawing or the picture as much as possible. Like only quick glances, and then it kind of helps me learn things from memory too. It's always kind of been an easier way for me to practice because I actually kind of do the same thing when I'm drawing people from life, so that way people don't know, like that I'm drawing them. Like a sounds stalkery, yes, but it kind of helps me practice drawing them for real life, and it helps me study like the features on them that stand out the most. This canvas needs to be bigger, or else I just drew that too big. I did. Okay. Just see. Oh fuck no. It's weird. Lions' ears are so weird because it's like you know they're there, but then you look at pictures of them and they're just hidden in the most obscure way, and you feel like when you're just trying to really loosely sketch it, it's like they don't really come out. It's like, yes, that's an ear, I promise you. But the line from Voltron, not quite ready for that yet. I had, from previous streams, I've talked about my very timidness towards drawing anything mech related, but the closest I've gotten to it was actually my contribution to Danny's pop culture book. I actually did, before I did the final art, I did my own kind of sketches of Evangelion inspired Iron Giant, because my kind of idea was that, here, I'll just show you guys the art if you haven't seen it before. Let's see. Let's find that shit. It's like back in May, I think I did that. There you go. Alrighty. So, that was my idea there. Yeah, that's the closest I've gotten to doing anything that's like a mech, because there's people that just kind of knock it out like it's so natural. Like, I've mentioned Emerson Tung before. He does them so well, like, just out of nowhere. And Alex Consett does robots really well too, but I think especially if you really grew up watching the shows and loving them, then they probably come to you a bit more organically. But yeah. So yeah. Anyway, this was like my idea that I did for Danny's book, and there's a Hogarth older version of him with his trusted Superman robot. But I just always like the idea of what happened to them beyond the first movie, because not that I think they need to make a sequel, because I think it just stands out just fine on its own in the first movie, but I like entertaining the idea of just an alternate universe of what they would do as they're older, and especially like when the movie left off on a note that he got put back together eventually because of his pieces moving. So I like to think something like this happened and it's fun. And I did this piece with the purpose of pushing myself to do something beyond what people expect from me. Because I think when you participate in a project like that, you have a really fun opportunity to do something different than what you're used to. And also when like you see like, you know, other people's ideas for their pop culture book too, especially with Danning's, you kind of want to hold yourself up to that standard with whatever piece you're going to make. So, yeah, it was fun. I would draw them again for sure in that style, because I still have those designs that I sketched for my version of Iron Giant. It's definitely fun. Anyway, animals. So I did a line. Let's just do something a bit more fun. Let's see. Ooh, I have drawn this. I've drawn this animal before in a sketch that I did, but they look really unique. Called caracals. They're a type of wildcat. They're so pretty, and they got the funniest ears. Let's see. Oops. What is happening? I'm trying to unintentionally drawing bigger than the screen can handle. So I usually try to sketch things out like this fairly quickly, so that I don't kind of feel it. If I go too slow, then that's when I really overthink what it is that I'm drawing, and then it just looks really stiff. So that's usually my approach to drawing something that I've never really drawn before. To kind of just study it really fast and then put it down fast too, I guess, and then you can kind of always take a look at it later to see like, oh, I could have done this or that better. Because I don't think there's any hurry to kind of get to the level that you need to get to. I think when people do that to themselves, it's because they want to be like, well, I need to get our job, so I gotta hurry up and make as much of this as possible and that, because I see all the artists I follow do this or that. But then I feel like what tends to happen is when you put so much pressure on yourself, it shows in your work, and then you end up feeling more frustrated by your work, and it's just like a never-ending cycle that you never want to be in. So don't do it. It's not good for you. Especially like I have anxiety, so I've realized all my different ways I've had to work around anxiety by applying those types of philosophies to whatever it is I would feel anxious about. Especially when I was looking for studio jobs in animation and I didn't know people, then I put a lot of pressure on myself during that time, and it wasn't easy. Like, I mean, I still got to where I am today, but looking back, there were certain things I definitely could have handled better. So, I mean, it's a learning experience. But what matters is you're learning from it at all in the first place, and not putting yourself in a cycle and being unaware of it, because that's even worse. Or if you're kind of spread that kind of negativity to other people and other artists in your community too, because when you do that, it tends to really drive people away, and then you wonder why people don't talk to you as much. Because I've realized that when I don't really get on Facebook a lot is because sometimes I'll just kind of see a lot of drama or negativity on there that I just kind of need to separate myself from. And it's like, I just gotta do me right now and kind of put my attention more towards the artists that are kind of a bit more positive. I mean, I get everybody's human, but, you know, it's not always good to put so much negativity out there. And you try to support each other no matter what. So then when there's artists that I love and I can see them working really hard to do what they want to do, then it's always really good to try to support them any way you can. Because there were definitely people that I can even remember certain names on Instagram because I remembered they followed me like way back in the day when my Instagram used to be just like posting random shit, but then once I started posting art on there and I had my first kind of followers that followed my work, I remember they were just always like really supportive and positive in my comments and always saying that they love my work and whatnot. Not that I was like stroking my ego about that or whatever, but it was just kind of nice to get just any kind of feedback about people liking my work and actively enjoying it when they would see me post. So that was something that always kind of motivated me to work even harder to, you know, in what I was doing. So and that's another reason why it's good to be that for other people, you know. You want to share that with everybody. So I'm drawing a caracal right now. In case you guys are wondering what this cutie is. They are freaking adorable. I love them. Let's see. Heads are one thing, but it's like their bodies you always have to get right because you don't want to make their bodies look like another kind of creature that they look like. Especially when it comes to wild cats. I mean, unless you're doing creature design where you kind of mix up, you know, different parts of like creatures and whatnot. But I want to get these guys right. Didn't think you'd be drawing animals tonight, guys. I'm glad someone suggested it. Thanks, Fred. Really fun. Oh, hey, Jake. I didn't see you. Thanks so much. Witchy Moon. I've never heard of Kieran's before. Interesting. My first experience with dragons actually was, it's funny, I remember, how old was I? I was in 5th grade, and my dad I asked my dad to get me a calendar that had something like cool on it, so he got me like this fantasy calendar of dragons, and I remember, I was trying to really push myself to do something big in a drawing, and I found this one dragon, actually on the month of my birthday, because I remember that was like my favorite dragon on that page. It was like this steampunky dragon that just looked really cool and badass, whatever. But I remember I did my own study of the drawing, but I'm really fucking pissed because I actually gave it to my teacher that I had a crush on. I like drew it, and I'm like, man, when I get this drawing done, this is gonna blow him away. Oh my god. And I freaking gave it to him, and it was probably like one of my best drawings of 5th grade that I did. I wish I kept the damn thing. He looked like he didn't want to like take it either, and I was like, man, I should have just kept it for myself. I wish I could find that actual calendar too. I know that's hard as hell to even find it all, but I mean, how do you even search for something like that? But yeah, I completely forgot about that. Because I have the sketchbook still here that I did the drawing of the dragon in. So I remember, I forgot I had given it to my teacher. And I found the sketchbook like maybe a year ago. And I was like, my god, this is the sketchbook that I did the drawing in. So then I go through the pages and to see if it's still there, and I knew what exact page it was, like place it was in the sketchbook, because on the other side of it there was a bunch of like graphite transfer, and so you could see like the shadow of the sketch from the transfer, but the sketch is just gone. I was like, god damn it, why? Stupid. Damn. Still bitter about it, clearly, to this day. Let's see. Anyway, so this chemical I'm drawing, just gonna try to finish it. Kind of generalizing its body a bit. They're kind of smallish, but some of these photos that I'm working off of, they don't show too many good poses. They're all like of its face, because I know it's unique, so people just take pictures of that. But I'm trying to see like the whole body. It looks so cute. They're beautiful too. The kittens are adorable. Oh my god, so cute. Their tails are just kind of whatever. Here you go. Very cool. In case people are curious about what it is. Alright, let's do something else. Animals should I draw? When I'm actually trying to sit and think about what animal to draw, that's when I just totally blank out on every animal that I've ever seen online. Ugh. Drawing a blank, guys. Literally. I've drawn horses before. It's kind of boring. Let's see. Fuck it, I'm just Googling interesting animals. Interesting. Whatever. Oh, red panda! I'm gonna draw a red panda. Okay. Ah, so cute. I love them. I see people writing suggestions, so I'll take those after I draw my red panda, because I gotta get out of my system. I should save this too. Just save it, guys. Animals. Okay. Anyway, red panda. You know who draws really good red pandas? Claire Wendling. Oh my god. That's another animal inspiration I forgot about. I actually have one of her like sketchbook collections that she published. She's like one of those artists that I just look at, I'm just like, I want to put my pen down and pencil and just be like, I'm done. Like, I can't do that. But I mean, she's so good. She's an inspiration. this canvas bigger. Just keeps growing. I love it when they're standing. I can't even find a good picture of one standing. Good panda. I'm not doing it right now because I don't want it to slow down my stream, but most often for really specific type of actions I'm trying to draw or convey, because usually I have to do that for storyboarding, I actually like working off of videos. I did a whole compilation of sketches once after I watched like a free running video, like parkour kind of stuff, and it was actually really fun to work off of because there were certain poses that I really liked and during moments of the video, and I would just sort of sketch it really fast. I think I posted some of those sketches. Let me see if I can find it, and I could show you guys what they look like. I just don't remember where I posted it. Let's see. Sorry guys. Just gonna see if I can find it really fast. If not, then I'll find it later. Because I know it's in here. Not crazy. Look at the look. Ah, here you go. I knew it didn't. Here you go. Yeah, so I even posted the link of the video that I watched, and then I did like super fast gesture drawings of some of the jumpers in it. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. It's like a better look at it, but yeah, little exercises like this are really helpful for that kind of thing, especially when you want to practice something, drawing something in movement, because you can very easily make it look as though it's not really moving like how you see it in a video, like in motion. So, I mean, this is stuff I need to really do more often because I really like it. And it's fun, and there's like in free running parkour videos, it's really a great resource for when you're doing kind of, if you ever want to draw like fighting scenes, then this stuff is awesome. Because this is like any kind of pose that you would make when you're fighting somebody. Not me personally, but you know, when you're watching a movie, you see that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's the stuff I do. Anyway, back to Red Panda. Let's see if I can get this right. Oh my god, they're so cute when they're standing. Oh god, I can't handle it. The little palms. Ah, shit. Sorry. think they gotta do that pose when they got their hands up. I think that's kind of more of a red panda trait. Let's see. I like draw too big apparently. What's going on? So that was too big anyways. So cute. Feet are like the strangest thing. Yeah, there she's usually, yeah, like I said earlier, if you are kind of practicing something you never really worked on before, keep it really loose. That way your focus isn't all over the place when you're doing it. And that way it kind of feels more organic to you. Pretty good pause. Goal in life is to go to Red Panda Sanctuary. Not a Red Panda Sanctuary, a sloth one. Oh my god, sloths. I might do a sloth next. But I want to do what other people suggest too. So give those ones a try. Oh. Let's see. Some other ones. Okay, so next request was Jake. He said cuttlefish. I like the name, but let's see how it looks. Cuttlefish. Oh, those are cute. I have seen them before. I've seen gifs of them. Oh, the baby one was what I've seen before. So cute. I don't really draw like a lot of aquatic animals. Yeah, they're cute. I like them. Alright, that's next. Tried to not make it feel like Zoidberg. I guess that's the gist of it. I mean, unless I were to go into like the patterns and shit. They got that. Ooh, they got the little. There you go. Yeah, they got that going on. There you go. I hope you guys get that. Alright, next request. This is fun, guys. I hope you guys are having fun. What was next? I gotta go back up. Pangolin, if I'm saying that right. Forgive me if I'm not. Oh, those were cute. I've seen those before. Yeah, I've seen a lot of these animals, I just never know like the name of them. Oh, that should be fun because of the pattern too. Let's see. Oh, I actually just tweeted about this earlier too because I saw a really funny caption for one of these things. Let's see what it was. I forgot it. The internet's being laggy. Oh, oh, there was it. Someone said if pangolins had a catchphrase, it would be, okay, I guess that's fine. They're so cute. Let's see. Yeah, it's this guy. Those are so cute. Alright, I'm gonna draw that guy next. Alright. Let's see. I should save this. I actually like this so far. Alright, so basic shape, yeah, they kind of got like the T-Rex thing going on. Noses are kind of funky too, can't quite place that. Yeah, up close, like their claws are kind of creepy, but just the way that they hold them, though, you're like, oh, you're okay. It's kind of like when you look at a naked mole rat. It's like, it's cute in its weird, gross, endearing way. People think certain things are cute, and it's like cute is subjective to people. Yeah, these guys, I mean, can't really resist them. If I saw one of these, I'd want to pick it up and hold it right away. There's like a picture of one just standing pigeon-toed. I can't handle it. Why'd you guys make me do this? I can't handle this. Sorry if like half of the stream is me going, ugh. That's how I really feel right now. I'm gonna need an ugly animal at some point. Well, someone's already requested one, I haven't seen it yet. I really like these patterns though on them. It kind of scales. Oh my god, their ears are so weird. It's like that. What? Alright, so this might be a bit monotonous here, but it's one of those things like when you kind of invest your time in doing kind of details like this, it feels really time consuming, but then you finish it and you kind of see the payoff of it and you're like, oh, that was worth it. That's fine. That was nice. I already did that wrong though, but it's fine. This one's so cute. You guys can ask me something if you want. If I'm doing stuff like this, I don't have to like really concentrate on it. I just tend to zone out. So if you guys have any like questions for me, let me know. I don't mind answering them, even if they were ones that you guys asked me before. I'll answer them again. Are you guys shy, or you just don't have any questions? Feel like chatting if you want. Jake asks, when did you know you wanted to get into the animation field? I've always been interested in drawing animation for as long as I can remember, but the moment I decided to pursue it seriously was after I quit my basketball team, because I was originally going to play basketball for college, like for serious. And I remember it was like right before I was going to star on my varsity team, and I was starting to get scouted by some colleges. Um, I just decided that I just didn't feel as passionate about it as I used to anymore, and if I were to have kept playing basketball, it wouldn't have been for me. It would have been just for other people's happiness. So I was like, I'm gonna do a big scary thing and just quit. And when I quit, I think I just had about a week of like, oh my god, I actually did this thing. I can't take this back now. Um, that was when I realized, I mean, because obviously I've been drawing all my life, and I remember like even during like basketball practices when we had like our breaks, I'd always have my sketchbook in my duffel bag, and I would just like whip it out and just sketch if I could. And I was thinking about that. I was like, well, I think I'm pretty good, but if I were to really consider doing art seriously, then I have to, work even harder. So I remember my parents weren't too keen on me saying, like, they didn't want to hear, like, someone that played basketball and was going to go play basketball in college, and then all of a sudden say, Mom, Dad, I want to do art. Like, I'm sure every parent, unless they're artists too, they're like, oh, okay, alright. Especially, like, because I lived in Virginia, and there wasn't really, like, it wasn't really a prime area for, like, animation industry folk. Unless, back then, I think they actually had the Nickelodeon studio in New York. But then it was, like, several years ago that they shut that office down, and now it's just in Burbank. But anyways, so I said that, and I remember I was looking at animation schools after high school, but I saw that they would have been all, like, extremely expensive. And I see this one school, Virginia Commonwealth University, and they happen to have a really good program in illustration. So then I was like, well, I think that would be a good place for me to go. And it ended up actually being, well, it was the only art school, only college really that I applied to properly, because I just applied to like another school just as a safety, but then I applied for their art school, but then I didn't submit a portfolio for them. I was just like, I just did it so that like I could tell my parents that I applied for another school. Sorry, Mom, Dad, if you're listening, because sometimes they listen. But then I got accepted into their to VCU's illustration program, and then I was really happy about that. And then it ended up being one of like the best decisions I've made. One, because I learned a lot from the illustration program. It really helped me finesse my drawing skills, because they kind of force you to do a lot of figure drawing classes, and their figure drawing classes was one of their more prominent classes to take, because they had really good teachers for them. But then they have like a really good illustration classes too, with some really great teachers. One of them was Sterling Hundling, who was definitely a mentor for me my last year of school, and then the year after when I did like an apprenticeship with him. But yeah, I noticed a huge difference in my work when I went to illustration school, and I'm sure anybody can say the same about, if they, learn from online classes or whatnot, or just, read a lot of books or do studies on their own. But it just helped for me personally to just be in that kind of environment to really learn. It really humbled me for sure, because I think anyone from high schools who don't have a lot of other artists besides them kind of have this like the artists of my high school type of attitude. And I'm not gonna lie, I did for me, because I was the only one that kind of really did my style of work, I guess. I hope there's not any former high school kids who listening to this who don't like hearing that right now. Sorry. But I remember even winning like that senior superlative of most artistic, and yeah, I was like, yeah, I was most artistic in my high school. Beat that, guys. And then I go to college, I'm like, oh fuck, these guys are really good too. So it really kind of helped, work on my skills from the ground up. So it was good for me for sure. And obviously, in hindsight, it would have been more beneficial for me to have gone to a school that primarily focused in animation specifically, especially when a lot of those schools kind of have like entry programs that directly work with animation studios, and I probably would have gone to animation studios sooner if I had something like that. But then I think about that and think my work could have looked completely different if I made that kind of decision. So I feel like my work, I guess, when it sounds cocky no matter how I say it, but I feel like my work wouldn't stand out in animation as much as it does if it wasn't for that. Because I don't know, maybe it just helped me have, just an illustration background before animation. Because any sort of animation work I did during school, I kind of just did on my own. And if I could get away with using it in an assignment, then it helped me. Because I remembered I wasn't really liked by the head of my department in my major. I remember if I didn't do like botanical drawing or medical drawing, like medical illustration, then, or if you didn't do like really prominent editorial illustration, then you didn't really stand out in the program. You weren't really as highlighted in the program. I think from what I've heard of the program now, it's a lot better because there's a new head department, and then now they're being more inclusive of other types of illustration. But I remember when I went to school, it was a bit more looked down on if you did kind of anything resembling cartoon, quote unquote. But yeah, I remember when the head of my department, he would sometimes kind of stop by people's classes, and then I remember he'd kind of walk by different artists and chat with them about the work and tell them what they like and whatnot. And I remember he did this in my senior portfolio class, and he's about to walk up to my work, and I hear him chatting, laughing with other students and whatnot. He was kind of like, he looked like a cross of Danny DeVito and like in Always Sunny and him as the Penguin, because he dressed kind of like the Penguin, but like the Danny DeVito version in Batman. And I'm trying to think who else he looks like. He kind of had a Colonel Sanders face too. But yeah, so anyway, he just walks by my work. You see this kind of man, waddling towards me. And then he gets to my work, kind of looks down at it, looks to see what I'm drawing, and I'm just chatting, like, I say something like, hi, how are you? And then he just kind of does like a little quick, like the head nod at me, but then he just sort of walks on by. So yeah, I was like, well, fuck that guy. And then the teacher of that class too, yeah, he didn't think of my portfolio being something that I would find success in later on, so it's just amusing. It doesn't even make me mad. Obviously it made me mad at the time because he gave me like a C in that class, and I was probably one of the only handful of people who got a C in that class. Because, yeah. It's gonna happen. Sometimes there's gonna be people that, no matter how nice you are, you can be the nicest person ever, you can be open with people, you can share your work, no matter what, someone's always going to think like you're an asshole. People try to look for a reason sometimes to not like somebody so they can kind of feel better about themselves. And I tend to notice that the most of people who are insecure, who's kind of got their own unresolved issues that they have yet to work out, and so they just kind of take it out on other people. But yeah. And I think like that probably didn't help me to hear that from my teacher, who was my senior portfolio teacher in the last semester of my last time in college ever. So I remember going out of school just like, what the fuck am I going to do in animation? I didn't, initially at that time, I didn't think about my work being more geared towards storyboarding. I actually was going more towards character design. And I kind of shaped my portfolio around that, but then it wasn't as strong as like other character design portfolios I'd seen, because it showed that I liked to draw, figures and whatnot, but I didn't have the kind of design aspect of it down quite. And I remember maybe it wasn't until like maybe a few months actually before I moved out here that I realized storyboarding was more for me, because I remember as my work was getting more attention on Instagram, I actually had some artists from animation studios follow my work, and a lot of the times they'd ask me on my Instagram posts, "Do you do storyboarding?" And I was like, "Do I?" And I started looking at like a whole bunch of different storyboard artists' work and whatnot, and I realized that was more in line with what it was that I like to draw. And for me, I love drawing acting, like emotive things, and I like to take slices of my life and put it into things like that. Like, I remember in school, I would draw kind of comics about things that happened in class, and I always like to show them to people so they could, laugh at it and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, that was that whole aspect of storyboarding. I was like, oh, that's actually perfect for what I like to do. So then, as I started getting ready for my move to California, I kind of started building my body of work more towards doing storyboarding specifically. So if I didn't know what to storyboard, I would just kind of just draw moments of my life. And I knew I didn't learn or understand back then the technical aspects of storyboarding, kind of like storyboarding 101, what do you have to learn, like camera work and whatnot, like the 180 rule. But every time I had my work looked at by people in studios, they definitely said like, well, you're definitely a draftsman, but we want to see like those other aspects of storyboarding and see if you really understand them or not. So that was when I kind of started doing tests for studios, and when I didn't get the work, it was just because I was still learning about the other aspects of storyboarding. Because it's fine if you can draw, but it's not like the one thing that makes people want to hire you to work in a studio, because you're working on a production with other people, and you have to make sure that you get your work in and it's done well, so that there's no like pauses or hiccups in the production. So it was a lot of trial and error during that time, and there were a lot of moments when I was learning it when I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right or not, like I can't. And I was like, I couldn't let it get to me, or else it was gonna drive me crazy. But yeah, I mean, everything is just a learning experience, and then it just definitely one of the things that helped the most was just building my portfolio as if I already had those jobs. So that's why I just sort of did storyboard type things of things that I dealt with personally. So yeah, I don't know where I was really going with that story. I think it was just like fuck the haters, I guess. Don't let them dictate what you should or shouldn't be doing with your life. I mean, the people that are really looking out for you, they're not the ones that are saying that you can't do it, unless they're. I mean, I don't know. I guess if they know like you're kind of doing something that's a lost cause, that's one thing. But for the most part, yeah, you can usually tell pretty easily the people that aren't really looking out for you, because you don't want people just being like yes men for you also. You don't want them always telling you like, yeah, you're doing this right or this right. Like, you want actual feedback too. So the people that really openly communicate that type of feedback with you, and not in like a, oh, this sucks, no context kind of way. Because it's like, well, okay, but I mean, can you tell me why it sucks? Like, they give you constructive criticism, and I really appreciate like my friends that have always kind of looked out for me in that regard, because I know not to expect to get everything right in what I do. So, but if you're not willing to listen to constructive criticism, then that's just you being really sensitive, and then you're never going to learn anything from it. So, you can't waste your breath on people that act like that. Is definitely like what helped me get to this kind of point in my life right now, was being really humble and always willing to learn everything you can, sort of take everything in. I noticed that when I did work for Justice League Action, it was definitely, the storyboards for that show are more in line with my style of drawing. So, for the most part, I mean, my feedback was really just from like kind of technical things that I needed to fix or whatnot. But once I moved to work on a different show, the one I'm on now, DC Superhero Girls, the uh, the workflow is a lot different from a different show. So that was a big learning experience for me, is that you can't expect every production to work the same way and have the same work process and uh, execution of style and storyboards. Like, it's not going to be the same for every studio. So that was a big thing that I learned going from one studio to the other, is you, again, that openness to learn everything you can. You can't just stay stuck with the same attitude with every place that you go, or else you're not going to be at those places for very long. You know, producers don't have time to deal with that, so yeah. And that could just, be easily applied to any, art job that you have. Don't have a sucky attitude. It's a good thing to, remind yourself of. Yeah. There was another animal, wasn't there? Let's see. My god, guys, I've been streaming for like 2.5 hours. I might need to get off of here soon, so let's do one more animal, and then I'm gonna do some laundry because I've been putting that off and I need to go to bed. Let's see. What was the other animal someone said? Ugh, got my god. Fuck. Where the hell is it? Not crazy, I saw it somewhere. Oh, turtle. Oh, okay. I'm gonna draw a mother from turtle. I'm gonna open. Soonish. See. Good night, Fred. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for asking good questions and comments too. I really appreciate it. You're the man. Let's see. Let's do a little baby turtle. Jake says it's really great hearing your personal journey and all the insights you've gained in the process. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's one of those things that I feel like as I get further in my career, I'll want to talk about things like that more, because I feel like, because I've kind of been through the struggle of getting to where I want to be, like in my life, in my career, it's always really helped me to hear other artists' stories, and just to know that I'm not alone in experiencing the frustrations and the ups and downs of, going through what artists go through. And it's really helpful, especially when it's specific to your career too, because I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like in college, when I wasn't even aware of like really like storyboarding kind of work, once I really discovered it, I tried to learn as much as I could from other storyboard artists, but I've seen a lot of storyboard artists not really, at least back then, they didn't really like talk about their lives or their like kind of the behind the scenes as much. I think I just only seen just their work alone, you don't really know the person behind it, so you think like, oh, they just were this good and they just get these amazing jobs in Disney and DreamWorks and whatnot, but it's like no one just kind of gets in. I mean, and especially not on their own too. I think it's okay to say that you've had help and connections and to things in those industries, because that's how a lot of people in those studios end up getting hired anyways. That's how they get found, is that I've heard just production manager just being like, asking people on the team, hey, does anyone know somebody that can do this in this time? Especially when they have to find them really fast. They're not going to go through all the online portfolios that they get online and just, they don't look through them and just find that person they're looking for. They want not just a recommendation from people they already work with, but actual, background from whoever's recommending them, like about how that person is. It's hard to just know somebody from just what they put out online. And especially when you have a name like me, was just Allison Smith applying for huge studios. I'm like, good luck to me. Like, I'm not going to do something stupid so I can just stand out because I just have a basic ass name. But, I mean, it's just, you just put out your work out there in the world enough that eventually the right people see it and the right people would talk to you, or you just happen to connect to those people, and it's like a domino effect. It just one thing kind of leads to another. So, I mean, that's how I got my job now. So, but yeah. Anyways, Witchy Moon asks, Allison, if you could have the powers of any superhero, who would it be and why? Who or what? I think you mean what. Let me think about that for a second while I draw this little baby turtle. Let's see. I could go really generic and say I want the power to like fly or something, because I live in LA and I don't want to deal with LA traffic all the time. But then I feel like the government would take me if they just see like this 20-something-year-old girl just flying around, no wings, just floating. It'd look a little bizarre. It'd go viral. And then they experiment me in the government. You guys would never hear from me again. But, let's see. Because of how I am, and I know that I wouldn't interfere with anything, kind of want to time travel just so I can get ahead to see when we actually meet aliens. Because I've accepted the fact that any extraterrestrial life we're bound to actually make contact with, it's not going to be in my lifetime. It's just not. We're not ready yet. Or the aliens know that we're not ready for them yet, so they just avoid us like the plague. But I would just want to time travel ahead just to see when it'll happen. Because I know it will, but just not right now. I think we got a while. Not even like Elon Musk could get us to that point yet. It's not a real thing yet. But yeah, I say time travel. Because then, I mean, the past is like whatever. I'm not dying to know like how, Alexander Hamilton like really died, because it's funny. Like, history is just kind of the accounts of other people, word of mouth. So then you think about, I mean, I'm not saying that like history isn't real, but I'm curious as to how much of it has been sort of tweaked and how much isn't. Because obviously, especially, I know that there isn't a lot of actual written accounts of Mongolians from the time that Genghis Khan lived. And there's only one sort of like mostly credible resource that people have, worked off of, because they didn't, only the religious figures of Mongolia really did any kind of writing in the history, but then even then it wasn't really a lot. And the reason that you kind of see Mongolia still kind of preserved in its culture, like you could go there and just still see things, they live the way that they did back then, it's just because they just made it just a part of their lives that they were actually living, so they just didn't always write everything down, they just lived it. And then you just see at as it is. Like, that's one of the places I actually really want to visit is Mongolia because of that. But, yeah. I'm always curious as to when they have certain people write history, you kind of wonder what they've had to fill in, because there's naturally going to be blanks in, retelling of history and whatnot. But it's always interesting to hear different adaptations or perspectives of cultures and whatnot, like how the 100-Year War, what that whole experience was like. Like, I'm just curious to just how it actually happened. I just want to see it, because who knows if it's completely the same account as it was written in history books and whatnot. And even history books on the same subjects are always going to be slightly different, because I feel like there wouldn't be different history authors if they each didn't have their own account of said history, Or else if one thing was the ultimate truth, it would just be one guy making it. If that makes any sense, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like I can't name the percentage, but I feel like there's just always a percentage that's tweaked or adapted to just kind of fill in the blanks of the story. It's like when you're watching a movie and you see, like, plot holes, Like, you want those holes... I was gonna say you want those holes filled with something. You want the answers to the questions that you may still have in a movie. But yeah, history can just be the same way too if you really think on it. But yeah. So anyway, baby turtle. I think I'm just about done with this guy. Let's see. I don't know why I feel the need to caption things that I draw. Okay, I think that just about wraps it up for my stream. I've been streaming for nearly 3 hours tonight. I think that's probably my longest stream that I've done so far. I can't remember, because, yeah. But anyways, thank you so much. It took an unexpected turn tonight, but I actually really liked this. I need to draw more animals, guys. I do. And then that way you can kind of see more fun things from me. Maybe even more creature designs. Who knows? But I definitely want to get on that at some point. Because I don't want to bore you guys with just doing the same thing over and over again. Because I know how easy it is to fall into that pattern. Especially when I tend to warm up. I tend to warm up with things I'm comfortable with and just sort of, go from there. But this was great. I really appreciate it, guys. I'll just zoom out so you guys get the nice look here. But yeah, thank you so much for hanging out. It was definitely fun tonight. I'm glad I got to have time to stream. And now I have clothes I need to clean, and I still kind of need to eat. So, thank you, everybody. And I hope you guys have a great night. And I'll keep people updated on my Twitter and my Facebook if you guys want to know when I do my next stream. So I just usually announce it on there. I'll try not to do it the day of. But as far as I know, I should be able to do this Sunday afternoon, hopefully, but worst case scenario in the evening. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. And yeah, thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you. Bye.